Hello, I'm Tony DeMaria, the editor of JACC, here to talk to you about a really interesting and I think very exciting new addition to the JACC armamentarium, and that is a supplement, a new issue that we just published last December that deals with the worldwide environment of cardiovascular disease, including the prevalence, diagnosis, therapy, and even policy issues. And this entire supplement is dedicated to really interesting and fascinating data relating to cardiovascular diseases throughout the world, and especially in the United States. Now, in terms of worldwide data, there's some really interesting information regarding the prevalence of disease throughout the world. It turns out that cardiovascular deaths are responsible for over 50% of all deaths due to non-communicable diseases throughout the world. There's data on the changes in body mass index and changes in the prevalence of hypertension throughout the world, showing some rather dramatic differences between high-income countries and low-income countries. There's information that deals with the number of elderly individuals and even life expectancy. It's kind of interesting to see where the United States ranks in terms of overall life expectancy throughout the world, which is not necessarily very high. There's some fascinating data about workforce issues, the distribution of physicians throughout the world, where there's really a shortage, where one could interpret that perhaps there's more than enough physicians throughout a good part of Europe and in some areas in the United States. And for those of us who live in the United States, some really interesting data regarding the distribution of specialties within cardiology, electrophysiology, interventional, heart failure, imaging, etc. And also those areas within the United States that have high ratios of physician to population as opposed to those with lesser ratios. So if you want to look for an area where there would be a significant need for cardiovascular specialists, there's data on pharmaceutical agents and devices, on the industry itself, what kinds of trials are underway, where are they being performed, and in terms of support for biomedical research, again, interesting data that would, at least it did keep me glued to the issue of the journal. Finally, there's some very interesting data on policy issues, on the new Accountable Care Act, how medical care is being paid for, and what the demands are for additional funds for cardiovascular care in particular. So an issue chock full of information, chock full of data, easily accessible in terms of graphs and tables, something I thoroughly enjoyed reading, and I hope you will too. So for JACC and the JACC journals, I'm Tony DeMaria.